Okay, and here we're going to show you what you get in the box. And this is the Heezy transfer switch model HTS15, 15 amp. So these are the instruction manual. Has everything you need to install it in the manual there. You got the transfer switch itself, and you got the bag of goodies. I'll show you what's in the bag of goodies here. So you got the other 90-degree conduit connector. Got 5 wire nuts. 4 of the Powers universal drywall wood type screws. A couple extra panel screws in case you lose the panel screws off that. And then we got 4 sheet metal screws. These are for attaching directly to sheet metal. They're really short. So and they got the starter tip on them, so you don't need the pre-drill with these. And then the last thing is a little jumper clip. And this is for when you're using, it'll be either a jumper clip or the pigtail wire. But in this case it's the jumper clip, and I'll show you what that's for. That's for if you're not switching the neutral wire. So on some generators you may need to basically hook the neutrals together and not have them switched. The newer model generators and some codes, you need to have the neutral leg be switched, meaning it's completely disconnected from the breaker panel when it's in use. So that's all the internal components right there, and we'll go ahead and show the install here. Okay, so here we're looking at a typical circuit breaker load center that is not in any sort of drywall at all. So as you can see, everything's exposed. We got a wood backer board here, and this is our circuit breaker panel. So what we need to do is shut off the power and verify that the power is off. So before we kind of do that, I just want to show you, this is a non-contact voltage detector. And when we get close, let's see if that'll make it a little easier. There. Well, you can tell that we now verify that this is working right now. So you want to verify that before you use anything like this. And right now I got some auxiliary lighting on. Got 2 lights on here, clamp-on lights, but any battery powered light will work. If you're doing this in a garage, you'll probably have the door open and you might not need any extra lighting. So keep that in mind, because we're going to shut off our main breaker. So I got the panel open here, and you'll see up top here I have my main breaker, and it's labeled, and usually it's on top in some configuration. So in this case it's right on top here. Sometimes they're kind of right above these, but it's usually a single, I mean it's a large breaker, but a single breaker. So we're going to shut that off, and that's going to shut off all the power to the house. So I got the generator running, and we got the auxiliary lights on that, so when we get everything hooked up we can test it on the generator, and it's already going. I'm going to shut off the main breaker here, and everything's shutting off. And I have a couple backup power things that are going to flip off for a little bit here. So now if we go back, or I'll shut the one light off here, let's see that we have no power. So everything's off right now. So now we're safe to work on that. Okay, now that we got the power off, we want to remove the cover. So I'm going to remove this cover, and there's just on this one there's 4 screws. So I'll get that done real quick here. Okay, so we have the panel off now, and I do have to warn you that the power is still coming in. You can still get shocked. So see if I can get on the top here. So on the top, this is where our main breaker is. So this feeds two bars kind of coming down that all your breakers attached to. And so up top here, I could put this in, and where the power comes in, we still got power, so we're still live up here. And what I want to show you is that our neutral and ground is all on the same. So kind of up top there, you can see there's our main power coming in. We got two phases of power, and it comes in, and as you can see the two grounds here are connected here. Here is our two ground. One of this solid one goes up to a grounding rod. This one comes up and kind of grounds the whole box and everything. And then this is our basically our neutral coming back out. So this is our neutral power, and so this is all the neutral bus here. So this is our neutral bus. There's also another grounding bus over on the other side. It's kind of behind all the wires. So this is our neutral bus right here. So what we're going to do is find the breaker that we want to power. And probably should have done that before you pulled the panel off, if you didn't so already. Otherwise you can just count them down. So in this case I have a separate sheet here that I keep of our panel. And it labels everything, and it's nice and organized, and I can kind of adjust this and reprint this out. And it's a little easier to read than those stickers and when people cross them off and everything. So these are all numbered, so it's alternating, just so you know. At the top on ours it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So it goes in, on one side it's all odd and the other side is even. So on this one, 13 is our furnace. So this is what we're hooking up to today. Now you can hook up to any breaker that is on a 15 amp. So, because what we're doing is we're running that basically through our transfer switch. So if the breaker is a 15 amp breaker, you can feed it with this transfer switch. So first I need to locate the breaker. It's number 13, so I'll count them down here. I got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. I'm just going to shut that off for now, so that way I know which one that one is for. Okay, so I moved the camera over to kind of get a better angle on this. So we got our transfer switch right here, and we're going to put it over on the left side of the breaker. You can see that this it's kind of pretty tightened up over here, and I can just rotate this for now, and what we'll do is we'll tighten up the nut inside. So what we want to do is determine where we want to put the cut in at, basically where we want to do the knockout at. And this is kind of set up to be on the bottom, but there's also knockouts on the side here. So if that works better for you, keep that in mind. You can use one of your side knockouts. So it just kind of depends on your configuration. And if you're doing this on a drywall, you know, usually what you can do is you can put this in through a hole in the drywall, and then that will, you know, kind of come across like that, and that works really well. So we'll probably do a video of that too. So what I'm going to do first on this is we're going to pull the front panel off for us to mount it. So I got my screwdriver here, and just using the flat tip, or you can use a square bit, and you can loosen this up. So once you got those loosened up and this pops off, and try to pull this off because the wire in here, it's going to kind of be tight. So just kind of pull it slowly forward, and you kind of access that, and you can kind of just let that hang there. And that's going to give us access to our mounting holes. And there's 4 of them, one in each corner, and I recommend at least doing 2 to mount this. So you don't need to do all 4. We include 4 screws, but if it works out doing just the just two of them, that's perfectly fine. So what we're going to want to do is get the setup on the side down here. And what I'm going to do is get my knockout. I got a spot right here in the corner. I'm going to knock that out. And the easiest way to do that is with a flat tip screwdriver and hammering on it. I'll see if I can get a closer. This is kind of hard to see at the right angle, but right in here there's a little knockout spot, and you want a 1/2 inch, so there's different size ones, so just look for the smallest. The smallest ones are generally 1/2 inch, so you can kind of come in either from the top or the bottom depending on how it's set up. I'm going to try to come off the bottom here and just get on that edge, and we'll see if that. Oh, on the side here, and just a couple taps, and then let's see if we can zoom back in. Kind of see I got it out there. Sometimes you can just work it with your finger, but if not, some sort of pliers or something, and just kind of twist it, and you can get that free. And you're good to go. So kind of my preferred method of doing this is to get your putting it here, it's going to make it really hard to tighten up. Zoom out a little bit. If I just put it in here like this, for me, because of the board right here, I'm not going to be able to tighten this up just kind of coming from underneath. So what I need to do is put this on the conduit first and then feed that through. So in order to do that, I'm going to take all your wires, and I'll make this as simple as I can for you guys. And trying to feed them through with it closed on here, it's a real bear sometimes. I mean, you can try twisting them. Usually the best thing is just to take off this this little tightening cover on it. Otherwise you spend 10 minutes trying to fight it. I'm just loosening up. And you'll need a flat tip screwdriver for this part. I'm pulling that off, so I got that cover off. I'll just feed the wires through. And I come down to this part here. And I'll show in some of the other videos on how to shorten up the conduit if you need to, so keep in mind that there'll be additional videos if you want to see how to do that and not completely destroy the conduit. I'll just start these by hand. And if you guys need a different type of fitting, I include the 290s that are on here, but if a straight fitting works out better for you, please let me know, and I can swap that in your package. It's not a problem. These 90s actually cost more, but are cleaner looking and kind of attach in more situations, so that's why we do the 290s. It just looks a lot better. But depending on your situation, it might not work for you. Okay, you got those nice and snug now. And so this has a nut on it. And what I want to do is feed the wire up through here. Wire take your nut and feed the wire through that. Tighten it down. Kind of keep it loose for the moment. So now we got that down, and we can kind of put this wherever we want. It doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is kind of put it up here. Now I want to make sure I don't have anything on the back side, and for my case I don't. Let's just our pantry back there. So I'm going to mount this right here. You guys can't even see it. I think that will look nice once the all the drywall's up, and I'll kind of keep it in line with this box up here. So that will work out right there. So what you can do is you can mark with a pen if you want, but the way these screws are set up, the powers screws, the way I got them for you guys, is that you don't really need to do that. So, I mean, these things are just great, and they'll go into almost anything. If you're doing some of the masonry, brick wall and stuff like that, you do need to pre-drill it. But other than that, any drywall or wood backing and stuff, you don't need to do any pre-drill. And it helps if you have a long bit or some sort of extension to get it through. You can kind of, the way I like to do is kind of put it through there, so it's already through there, and I'll line it up. And these things are just really tight. You can just eyeball it if you want. That's kind of the way I prefer to do it. But I do have a level, just so you guys have a level. You can adjust it with that if you really care about that sort of precision. So like I said, I recommend at least 2 screws on this. What we'll do is see if we can kind of get you on a closer input there. You can see exactly what I got going on. So I did that top right hand corner, and I'll do this left one here. I can guarantee you this ain't going nowhere, and that's rock solid. So now we got that in, and what we want to do is just, if you guys just want to double check the wiring before you push it in, just make sure everything's on there nice and tight, and then that's it. You don't need to come in here anymore unless we're doing a swap with the tying in the neutrals, and even then you don't even have to do it through here. I can show you how to do it with the wiring, but we'll go ahead and close this up for now, and then we'll kind of move on to the next section. So just slide the one on, and then you can slide the other side on, and kind of pull up on the wires a little bit just to kind of pull those in, and then you can tighten it down. And there we go. It's ready to go there. And, I'm going to move back here. Ready to do the wiring part. Okay, so we're ready to wire this up now. Everything's mounted. And what you want to do is come back in and tighten up that nut on the bottom down here. Make sure that's nice and tight. And you can do that with a wrench like this. You go along that, one of my favorite ways, and all the ways that electricians do it is they actually just use a flat tip screwdriver and kind of get it on one of the edges, and just kind of hammer it righty tighty, and that will tighten that down. This also works good for loosening these up. They're really tight. Okay, so we know where our breaker's at that's serving our furnace or whatever circuit we're trying to wire up for the transfer switch. In this case, coming in here is our furnace circuit. So we need to track down these wires. So we got the black one, which is our hot leg, which is what's coming to our breaker down here. And we also got the neutral. So we need to track down the neutral because we're going to be switching this to our switch, or our transfer switch. So I got that right here, and so what we're going to do is we're going to loosen that up, and we'll do that first. We'll kind of pull that. We've got the wire loosened up there. So there's our, what I'm going to do is kind of keep it here. We've got a ground. We're not going to touch that. We're just going to tie into the panel here with the ground. And then what we're going to also need to do is pull the breaker or disconnect the wire. And some of these are really tight. Kind of trying to get back here. I like to just pop them out if I can. And we got everything off. Of course, you can always come back and then verify. It doesn't hurt to verify. And if you got a meter, use a meter and test it that way. So I'm just going to pull this off. So this is our, I'll just verify, I'll just kind of follow this black wire up, and yes indeed it goes to the conduit that's going to our furnace circuit. So I'm going to pull this off, and we're going to pull the wire off of this. So this is our furnace circuit right here. You can see, I don't know if you can read that or not, but it is a 15 amp. A lot of these are 20. And so what we'll do is just pull this wire off, just loosen that up. And that's that. Now I want to show you, see if I can come in here. The camera will focus for me or not. So that's kind of the inside on this particular brand of circuit breaker. This is a GE, but they're all pretty much the same. There's the nut for loosening and tightening it down, and that's where your wire goes, kind of right in that trough right there. So we got our black wire, which was going to our breaker. What we want to do is the red wire is what's powering, going to the power from our circuit breaker to our transfer switch. So we're going to need to strip this back. So using your wire strippers, you want to strip off just enough of a portion to get that in there. And a lot of these on the camera has an autofocus, but you can see that it has a little spot right here. That's just a strip. So that actually tells you how much to strip off. And it's about a 1/2 inch. That's generally pretty good. So if the wires aren't already pre-stripped, go ahead and strip them. You're going to want to use the appropriate size strip. And probably, well, there we go. So you'll see on the one side, the right side, it says for stranded, and the left is solid. So the wire that's in our transfer switch is all stranded, so you're going to want to use the 14 on the stranded side. So I'm going to strip away a 1/2 inch, and in this one you just clamp down and pull it away. Now there you go, we got it stripped off. And if you strip it too long, you can trim it down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to twist this to the right. And that makes it nice and tight. Now the red wire, the solid red wire, is going to go into the breaker. of the circuit that we're serving. So in this case, this is the furnace circuit. I'm going to push this in. Now I'm going to try to see if you guys can see, but it's actually, I got all the way in and it sticks out just a little bit. Now the thing is, you don't want to clamp down on the insulation. So we're right perfect. And if I go to the strip guide, you can see that we're right at the right side. So we're going to put that in there. And it doesn't matter what sequence you do these in. This is what the sequence I got kind of set up right now. We're going to tighten it down, really torque it down, and then give it a good tug, make sure it doesn't move. Kind of look at it, make sure it's aligned right in there and it's centered up. So we're good on that. So now our power, we're basically running the power to the transfer switch now. And we're going to close this back up, and I'll put this back in here. And on this one, you it goes in on the side here, and it kind of has a clamp. I'll pull it back out so you guys can see it has a little edge that catches. And so you want to catch that on the, and then it pushes on to your power bar right there, the bus bar. Once we get in there lined up, then I can push right here. Now it's all tucked in. We're going to keep that off for now. And then that wire, we can just kind of tuck it in there. So we got that set up. So now we got our black wire still, and we got our black wire from the transfer switch. So we're going to strip this again. Now this one we're going to do about the same, and we're going to wire nut this one. In fact, the rest of them will be a couple of these will be wire nutted. So you can strip back about the same on that, and again tighten it up, twist it to the right. You can see I got those together there. Now if these were two solid wires, we'd actually pre-twist these using a pair of pliers, but we're not going to. So keep them at the same evenness there. We're going to grab one of the wire nuts, and probably have to hold them back just a little bit more. Get it good and tight. There. We're going to take the wire nut and just push it on there. You want to make sure that neither of the wire has basically a lead on it. And so when you start going and keep twisting to the right clockwise, you'll notice that the wire starts wanting to twist on itself. That means it's completely tied in here as much as it can go. Now keep twisting that. And you want to give it a good couple turns. And then now that's even held together more. And it's good and tight. Now you can always come in here and put electrical tape around here if you like. That's a pretty common thing, but it's not necessary. So I mean, that's not coming off. We can pull on that, we can tug on that. So now our power coming out of the transfer switch is feeding our hot leg going to the furnace. So that's what we're doing. So I'm going to tuck this in here so it's out of the way. So we got our red and our black. So we got 3 wires left. We have our white, our neutral, our ground, and then the neutral with the blue stripe on it. Now it could be any color stripe. It's going to be marked at to differentiate it from the standard white. So on our white one, this is our neutral. We're going to connect this to the neutral. I gotta come back out again, sorry. The plain white with no stripe on it, we want to connect that to our white wire that's going to our circuit. So this is the one that we disconnected earlier. So we're switching this now. So we're going to want to strip this down. We're going to do the same thing as we did before. About a ½ inch or so. Strip that off. And and twist it to the right with a good tight braid on it. Grab another wire nut. We're going to come back up here and we're going to wire nut these together. And see that there. I got that good and tight, and it's starting to kind of come over itself again. I'm just going to kind of put that there for now. That's good. It's a real good spot to put that for now, so I'm just going to kind of tuck that there. You can see that. So now all we got left is our ground and our neutral. Now in this case, our neutral bar is the same as our ground bar. There's multiple grounds. You can see the bare copper in with the green and also the neutral, the white wire. So we can put this on any open spot on this. So we had the open spot from before, and basically these can be tied together. So that's what we're going to do in this case, since we don't have a dedicated ground bar. If you had a dedicated ground bar, you want to put the green wire on the ground bar only. So I want you guys to understand that. The green wire, if you have a dedicated ground, needs to go on to the ground bar. So I'm going to strip these back. And in this case, because we are sharing the same bus bar, I'm going to tie these two together. So before I twist them separately, instead of twisting each one separately, I'm going to twist them together. Just get it nice and tight. And then you're going to put that into your location where you pulled the neutral out from earlier. And in this case, I'm going to have to loosen it up because this has a little bit larger spot. Okay, our neutral and our ground are together. I'm going to feed that in. And I'm going to tighten it down. Now this also gives you a good opportunity when you have your panel open like this and the entire breaker shut off, that you can tighten up everything. Everything on our panel is all set up. So we're done here. We've tied everything in. We got our transfer switch set up. Conduit's coming over. And be sure to tighten up all the conduit nuts and everything you need, and try not to flex this any more than it needs to be flexed, or it'll want to pop out on you. So we got our wire. So now we got to put our panel back on, kind of get everything tucked in. And then we're going to test run the circuit off the generator. So it's very important that you test run everything and make sure that it's set up properly. Okay, so we got the electrical panel cover back on. Everything's tightened up, ready to go. So what we're going to do is I got the breaker shut off right now for our furnace circuit. I'm going to go ahead and leave that off for now. I'm going to turn on our main breaker. And, you know, I always do this just because doing enough electrical work, eventually you just kind of understand. But I like to use something that's non-electrical, that can't conduct electricity, to turn on my breakers. I've had a couple of them blow up on me. It's very rare, but it's more of when we've done a lot of wiring, it's just kind of a common thing to do. So in this situation, I'm not worried about it, because I know what I'm doing. I'm not working with other people and wondering what other people have done for wiring. So I'm going to turn this on and turn our power back on. It's going to turn on our main lighting. Okay, so we got power back on, and we're going to flip the breaker on our circuit for the furnace. So right now the transfer switch is in the off position, the center position off. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. Nothing popped, so that's a good sign. Okay, so we got our main breaker and circuit breaker turned back on for our circuit. So now we have power coming to the transfer switch. Right now it's in the off position. We're going to switch it over to the line utility power. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear, but the transformer on our furnace is a little loud, so might be able to hear it kick on. And so now we're on line power. We know that's operating properly. So what I'm going to do is go and turn on the furnace, make sure it's operating on the line power and everything's working properly. So we'll get that set up here. Okay, so our furnace is up and running. Fan is going. It's in heating mode right now. So we're going to run this through a cycle, and when it gets done we're going to shut this off, switch into generator mode, and test run it running on our generator to make sure that everything is wired properly from that end. So it's important that you do that after you get done. Just don't think that just because it's wired that it's going to operate properly with your furnace. I mean with your generator. Keep in mind that some of the generators and the furnaces and other appliances may require to have the neutrals tied together so the neutrals aren't switched. Right now the neutrals are wired in a switch position. So sounds like everything's going good on that, so we'll shut that down and we'll go into the generator mode. So I'm going to go ahead and just kick this off here. Everything's shut down. So now we're completely off. It's shut off directly at the transfer switch here. And we already have our generator. It's been running outside. We've been having all our lights on it until we just turned the main back on. And so I got my extension cord here. And recommend a 15 amp cord. It's usually any of the heavy duty. They're usually like a yellow cord generally. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug the female in here. It's really tight. Really good connection. Make sure you kind of push it on and it's good there. It won't come out. And so now we're on the generator. I'm going to go plug in the male in now into the generator. Okay, so we got the male into the generator. Female, we're all connected here. Power should be coming in. We're going to switch it to the generator, and that's going to be switch it from the line voltage over to our generator. So we'll see if this operates. And there it goes. And it is ramping up. And you're going to want to run it through a test sequence. And it's recommended to do this probably every 6 months. Run your generator, run some gas through it, make sure everything's operating properly. And now you're good to go, you're set up. And we'll just go through the shutdown process. It's just basically in reverse. So we're going to want to switch this from the generator to the off position. So we'll do that. I'll shut it down. And it's recommended that if your furnace or boiler or whatever you got is running currently at the time, to let it cycle through its operation, so that way you're not kicking it off when everything in the furnace is at its highest temp, and let it cool down until it shuts down naturally off the thermostat. and then you can shut this off. And then we're going to pull the plug back out. And you can do a couple things here. You can just kind of pull the plug out and then go shut down your generator. You can leave this plugged in and just shut off your generator if you're going to be, you know, running it a couple times a day during a power outage. That's generally what we do. I just keep it plugged in, and then as it's needed, you know, I just fire up the generator and then turn this on. So that's all you got to do. So once you're all done, your utility power's back on, then you can disconnect it. This has a really strong connection, so you know, you don't have to worry about it kind of getting kicked out or anything. But it's always a good idea to, if it's in a walkway or doorway, to try to tuck it in under a rug or tape it down just so nobody trips on it. So thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, send me an email at sales@heezy.com, or you can also send it to ricksdiy.com. Either one of those are the ones I check most frequently, and I'll try to get your questions answered promptly. And again, thanks for watching.